In a distracted world where attention is constantly pulled in 1,000 different directions, Earl Nightingale's words matter more than ever. Not because they are loud, dramatic, or trendy, but because they are calm, deliberate, and rooted in truth. At a time when most voices compete to be heard, Nightingale's voice teaches us how to listen to ourselves, to our thoughts, and to our purpose. Earl Nightingale lived in a different era, yet he understood the human mind with astonishing clarity. Long before smartphones, social media, and endless notifications, he warned that the greatest danger to human potential was not poverty, war, or competition, but drift. He observed that most people do not fail. They simply never decide where they're going. They move through life reacting instead of choosing. Busy but unfocused, active but unfulfilled. Today, distraction has become a way of life. People wake up and immediately reach for their phones. They consume information without intention and opinions without reflection. Their minds are constantly occupied, yet rarely at peace. In this environment, Earl Nightingale's teachings feel almost revolutionary. He reminds us that success does not begin with action. It begins with thought. And in a world where thinking has been replaced by reacting, this message becomes critical. Nightingale believed that the mind is the most powerful tool a human being possesses, yet also the most neglected. He often said that we become what we think about most of the time. This was not a motivational slogan. It was a law. Whatever dominates your thoughts eventually shapes your reality. In a distracted world, this means that if fear, negativity, and noise dominate your mind, they will eventually dominate your life. What made Earl Nightingale different from other motivational figures was his emphasis on responsibility. He did not blame society, technology, or circumstances for human failure. Instead, he challenged individuals to take ownership of their inner world. He believed that while we cannot control everything that happens to us, we can always control what we allow to occupy our minds. During his early years, Nightingale served in the U.S. Marine Corps during World War II. He witnessed chaos, uncertainty, and fear at the highest level. Yet even in those conditions, he noticed something remarkable. Some men remained calm, focused, and purposeful, while others were overwhelmed by panic. This observation shaped his life's work. He realized that circumstances do not create success or failure, mindset does. After the war, Nightingale entered radio broadcasting. From the outside, his career seemed ordinary, but behind the scenes, he was studying the patterns of success and failure obsessively. He read philosophy, psychology, and the works of great thinkers. Slowly, a clear truth emerged. Most people live without direction. They allow the world to decide what they think, what they want, and how they feel. In today's distracted world, this problem has multiplied. Algorithms decide what people see. Trends decide what people value. Noise decides what feels important. Earl Nightingale's message cuts through all of this with one simple idea. Decide your purpose, or someone else will decide it for you. Without a clear purpose, the mind becomes vulnerable to every distraction that passes by. Nightingale taught that a goal acts like a compass. When a person knows exactly what they want and why they want it, distractions lose much of their power. The problem is that most people never take the time to define their goals. They want success, but they cannot describe it. They want happiness, but they do not know what it looks like. In this confusion, distraction thrives. One of his most famous teachings came through The Strangest Secret, where he explained that success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. This meant that success is not a sudden event, but a process. In a distracted world, people want instant results. They jump from one idea to another, hoping for shortcuts. Nightingale warned that this impatience is one of the greatest enemies of success. He believed that discipline of thought was the foundation of discipline in action. If a person cannot control their thinking, they will never control their habits. Distraction weakens discipline by encouraging constant switching tasks, switching goals, switching identities. Nightingale taught that focus is not about doing more things, but about doing the right things consistently. At its core, Earl Nightingale's philosophy is a call to wake up, to stop drifting, to stop living on autopilot. He urged people to think deliberately, to choose their direction, and to guard their minds fiercely. In a world that constantly demands attention, choosing where to place that attention becomes the most important decision a person can make. This is why Earl Nightingale's words matter more than ever. Not because the world has changed, but because the human struggle remains the same. The battle is still within the mind, and those who learn to master it, even in a distracted world, will always rise above the rest. Earl Nightingale often said that the tragedy of life is not that it ends too soon, but that we wait too long to begin. In a distracted world, this waiting has become almost permanent. People tell themselves they will focus tomorrow, start next week, or change something. Distraction keeps them comfortably delayed, endlessly preparing but never committing. Nightingale believed that this delay is one of the most destructive habits of the human mind. He taught that clarity creates urgency. When a person truly understands what they want, procrastination loses its grip, but distraction clouds clarity. It fills the mind with too many options, too many voices, and too many comparisons. As a result, people remain stuck in indecision. Nightingale urged individuals to simplify their thinking. to choose one meaningful goal and to give it their full attention. One of Nightingale's most powerful insights was that the mind cannot distinguish between constructive and destructive thoughts. It simply acts on what it is repeatedly given. In today's world, people consume a constant stream of negativity, fear, and trivial content. Over time, this shapes their expectations and beliefs. Nightingale warned that allowing the mind to feed on chaos would inevitably produce chaotic results. He believed that success requires mental leadership. Just as a nation needs leadership to function, the mind needs direction. Without it, distraction becomes the default ruler. Nightingale encouraged people to become leaders of their own thoughts, to decide deliberately what ideas they would entertain and which they would reject. This mental discipline, he believed, was the foundation of all achievement. Nightingale also spoke deeply about the cost of distraction. It does not always appear dramatic. It often looks harmless, just a few minutes here, a little entertainment there. But over time, these small losses of focus accumulate into years of unrealized potential. He believed that most people underestimate the power of small daily decisions. Success, in his view, is built quietly through consistent attention to the right things. Another central theme in Nightingale's teachings was self-belief. Distraction weakens self-belief by constantly pulling attention outward. People compare themselves to others, measure their worth through likes and opinions, and lose touch with their own progress. Nightingale taught that confidence grows when attention is turned inward toward personal improvement rather than external validation. He emphasized that learning must be intentional. In a distracted world, people confuse consumption with growth. They watch, listen, and scroll, believing they are improving while rarely applying what they learn. Nightingale believed that knowledge only becomes power when it is used. Focused application, not passive consumption, creates transformation. Nightingale also warned against the illusion of multitasking. He believed that doing many things at once weakens the quality of all of them. Distraction celebrates multitasking, but success demands concentration. Nightingale taught that the mind performs best when fully engaged in one task at a time. Depth, not speed, produces excellence. One of his most important lessons was about patience. Distraction thrives on impatience. It promises quick rewards and instant pleasure. Nightingale believed that meaningful success requires time, repetition, and faith in the process. Those who cannot tolerate boredom, discomfort, or slow progress will always be tempted by distractions that offer immediate relief. He often reminded people that life rewards those who persist. Focus without persistence fades, and persistent focus wastes energy. The combination of clear purpose and sustained effort, however, is unstoppable. Nightingale believed that persistence is not about force, but about commitment, the decision to stay with a goal, even when enthusiasm fades. In a distracted world, Nightingale's emphasis on inner discipline feels almost radical. He believed that the most successful people are not those who avoid distractions entirely, but those who refuse to be controlled by them. They acknowledge noise, but they do not follow it. They see temptation, but they do not surrender to it. At the heart of Nightingale's message is hope, not false hope, but hope grounded in personal responsibility. He believed that anyone, regardless of background or circumstance, could rise above distraction by learning to think deliberately. This belief is what made his teaching so powerful and enduring. Earl Nightingale did not promise an easy path. He promised a meaningful one. In a world that constantly pulls attention outward, his words call us back inward to thought, purpose, and conscious living. And it is this call that makes his message as relevant today as it was decades ago. Earl Nightingale believed that most people live their entire lives without ever truly deciding who they want to become. In a distracted world, identity itself becomes blurred. People borrow opinions, follow trends, and absorb expectations without questioning them. Nightingale warned that when a person does not consciously shape their identity, the world will do it for them, and usually not in their favor. He taught that success begins with a decision, not a wish, not a hope, but a firm decision. Distraction weakens decision-making by constantly presenting alternatives. The mind becomes restless, always wondering if something better is just one click away. Nightingale believed that this constant switching destroys commitment. True progress, he taught, begins the moment a person stops searching and starts building. One of Nightingale's most powerful ideas was that the mind must be trained, just like the body. Without training, it becomes weak, reactive, and easily distracted. He encouraged people to practice thinking deliberately every day. This meant setting aside time for reading, reflection, and planning. In today's world, this practice feels rare, yet it is more necessary than ever. Nightingale also spoke about fear as a form of distraction. Fear pulls pulls attention away from action and toward imagined outcomes. He believed that most fears are mental constructions, not real threats. By focusing on fear, people distract themselves from the work that would actually move them forward. Nightingale taught that courage grows through action, not avoidance. He placed great importance on self-talk. In a distracted world, the inner voice is often drowned out by externals, but Nightingale believed that self-talk shapes belief, and belief shapes behavior. If a person constantly tells themselves they are incapable, unlucky, or behind, their actions will reflect that belief. Focused, positive self-talk, on the other hand, strengthens confidence and resilience. Another key element of his philosophy was personal accountability. Nightingale rejected excuses in all forms. He believed that excuses are distractions disguised as explanations. They shift attention away from solutions and onto comfort. Successful individuals, he taught, take responsibility even when it is uncomfortable, because responsibility restores power. Nightingale also warned against emotional addiction. Distraction often feeds on emotional highs and lows, outrage, excitement, entertainment, and drama. These emotions create stimulation but not progress. Nightingale taught that emotional balance is essential for sustained success. A calm, steady mind is far more productive than an emotionally reactive one. He emphasized the importance of consistency. In a distracted world, people start many things but finish very few. Nightingale believed that finishing is a rare skill. Success, he taught, is not about starting strong, but about continuing when motivation fades. Consistency turns effort into habit and habit into identity. Nightingale also spoke about the danger of living through others. In a world dominated by screens, people often experience life vicariously, watching others succeed instead of building their own path. He believed that inspiration should lead to action, not passive admiration. Focus transforms inspiration into effort. He often reminded his audience that time is impartial. It passes at the same rate for everyone. Distraction does not stop time, it only wastes it. Nightingale believed that awareness of time creates urgency, not panic, but purposeful urgency. The understanding that each day is an opportunity to move closer to one's goals. At the core of Earl Nightingale's teachings is the belief that human potential is enormous. Distraction hides this potential by keeping people occupied with the trivial. Focus reveals it by directing energy toward growth. Nightingale believed that greatness is not reserved for a select few, but available to anyone willing to discipline their mind. His philosophy challenges us to ask uncomfortable questions. Are we thinking deliberately or reacting automatically? Are we building our future or consuming distractions? Are we choosing our path or following the crowd? Nightingale believed that honest reflection is the beginning of change. In a distracted world, his words are not just relevant, they are necessary. They remind us that success is not something we chase, but something we become through disciplined thinking and purposeful action. And for those willing to listen, Earl Nightingale's message still offers a clear path forward. Earl Nightingale believed that direction is far more important than speed. In a distracted world, people are constantly rushing, yet rarely moving toward anything meaningful. They confuse activity with progress and noise with importance. Nightingale warned that without direction, even the fastest movement leads nowhere. Success, he taught, begins when a person decides not just to move, but to move with purpose. He often spoke about the difference between reacting and responding. Distraction encourages reaction, quick, emotional, and unthinking. Response, however, requires awareness and intention. Nightingale believed that successful individuals pause before acting. They think, evaluate, and then choose their response. This pause, small as it seems, is a powerful act of self-mastery. One of his most important teachings was about habits of thought. Nightingale believed that thoughts repeated over time become beliefs, and beliefs become behavior. Distraction introduces random thoughts into the mind, weakening focus and clarity. He taught that by consciously choosing positive, goal-oriented thoughts, a person could gradually reshape their internal world. Nightingale also emphasized the importance of faith in oneself. In a distracted world, filled with comparison, self-doubt becomes common. People measure their worth against unrealistic standards and lose confidence in their own journey. Nightingale taught that faith in oneself is not arrogance. It is trust developed through preparation, effort, and persistence. He believed that focus is a skill, not a talent. Anyone can develop it through practice. Just as muscles grow through resistance, focus strengthens through challenge. Nightingale encouraged people to resist small distractions daily, knowing that this resistance builds mental strength over time. Another key element of his philosophy was simplicity. Distraction complicates life by adding unnecessary choices and commitments. Nightingale taught that successful people simplify. They eliminate what does not serve their goals and concentrate on what does. Simplicity, he believed, creates mental clarity and emotional peace. He also spoke about courage in a quiet sense. Courage, in Nightingale's view, was not loud or dramatic. It was the quiet decision to continue, to stay focused, and to remain disciplined when no one is watching. In a distracted world, this quiet courage becomes rare and valuable. Nightingale Nightingale warned that comfort can be one of the most dangerous distractions. Comfort dulls ambition and weakens discipline, while rest is necessary. Excessive comfort leads to stagnation. He believed that growth requires stepping outside familiar patterns and embracing challenge. He emphasized that success is built in private before it is rewarded in public. Distraction often pulls attention toward appearances, how things look, rather than how they are built. Nightingale taught that meaningful work happens away from applause, in moments of focused effort and honest self-improvement. Another important idea in his teachings was self-respect. Nightingale believed that discipline is a form of self-respect. When a person honors their commitments to themselves, their confidence grows. Distraction erodes self-respect by encouraging broken promises and unfinished efforts. He also spoke about learning from failure. In a distracted world, failure is often avoided or masked. Nightingale believed that failure, when examined thoughtfully, becomes a teacher. Focus allows individuals to learn from mistakes instead of being defeated by them. At the heart of Earl Nightingale's philosophy is the belief that the mind is both the problem and the solution. Distraction begins in the mind, but so does focus. Nightingale taught that by mastering thought, individuals could master their lives. His message continues to challenge modern audiences. It asks us to slow down, to think deeply, and to live deliberately. In a world that rewards distraction, choosing focus becomes an act of courage. Earl Nightingale's words remind us that success is not about doing more, but about doing what matters. And in a distracted world, that lesson is more valuable than ever. Earl Nightingale believed that the ultimate purpose of focus is not merely success, but fulfillment. In a distracted world, people often chase goals they never consciously chose. They pursue what is popular, what is expected, or what appears impressive to others. Nightingale taught that true success begins with an inward question: what do I really want my life to stand for? He reminded people that without a clear personal philosophy, the world will impose one upon them. Distraction makes it easy to live by default instead of by design. Nightingale urged individuals to consciously design their lives through deliberate thought and intention. He believed that clarity of purpose acts like a compass, guiding decisions even amid chaos. One of his most powerful ideas was that success is progressive realization of a worthy ideal. This definition stands in stark contrast to the modern obsession with instant results. In a distracted world, people expect immediate outcomes and lose patience when progress is slow. Nightingale taught that growth unfolds gradually and rewards those who stay committed to their vision. He emphasized that the quality of one's life is determined by the quality of one's thoughts. Distraction lowers the quality of thinking by fragmenting attention. Nightingale encouraged people to protect their minds just as they protect their bodies. What we consume mentally, ideas, conversations, and information, shapes who we become. Another key theme in his philosophy was personal responsibility. Nightingale believed that individuals must take ownership of their thoughts, habits, and choices. Distraction often shifts responsibility outward, blaming circumstances or technology. Nightingale taught that while the world may be noisy, mastery begins with self-control. He also spoke about the power of daily discipline. Success, he believed, is built through small, consistent actions performed over time. In a distracted world, consistency becomes difficult, but also more valuable. Nightingale taught that discipline frees a person from regret and builds long-term confidence. Nightingale stressed the importance of quiet time. Moments of silence allow reflection, clarity, and creativity. In a world that fears stillness, he saw silence as a strength. He believed that many answers people seek externally are found internally through reflection. He often reminded his listeners that most people live far below their potential, not because of lack of talent, but because of lack of focus. Distraction wastes potential by scattering energy. Focus concentrates it. Nightingale taught that when energy is focused, even ordinary abilities can produce extraordinary results. Another timeless lesson from Nightingale is patience. He believed that impatience is fueled by distraction and comparison. When people constantly compare themselves to others, they lose sight of their own progress. Nightingale taught that patience allows growth to mature naturally and sustainably. He also highlighted the role of service. True success, he believed, involves contributing value to others. Distraction often centers attention on self-image rather than impact. Nightingale taught that meaningful success comes from serving a purpose greater than oneself. As technology advances and distractions multiply, Earl Nightingale's words grow even more relevant. He foresaw a future where attention would be tested and focus would become rare. His teachings now serve as a guide for navigating this modern landscape. Nightingale did not offer shortcuts or quick fixes. He offered principles, simple, demanding, and enduring. Principles that require effort, discipline, and faith. In a distracted world, these principles act as anchors, keeping individuals grounded and purposeful. His legacy reminds us that success is not found in constant stimulation, but in deliberate living, not in chasing noise, but in listening to inner wisdom, not in reacting to the world, but in shaping one's own path. In a distracted world, Earl Nightingale's Nightingale's words matter more than ever because they call us back to ourselves. They remind us that the power to focus, to choose, and to grow has always been within us. And for those willing to listen, to apply, and to persist, his philosophy offers not just success, but a life of meaning, clarity, and purpose.